guys, here we are, the DrumQuig podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Troy.
and we're joined with our guest today, the one and only. I know I always like to say the one and only just because it just makes it sound so much better, but really, you're one of a kind, Dylan. Dylan
Thanks,
Dekker,
man.
and I hope I'm saying your last name right. I really
Yeah,
should have.
that's perfect. That's the one.
Better known as Dekker on drums on Instagram, TikTok, and everything else. So, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome.
So, I want to kind of just start off and see like how you got to do what you're doing because you go through your Instagram and you're hitting like 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, and then all of a sudden you just have one video hit almost 200,000. Like, what was that like, and did that drive you to just keep doing this and see where it could take you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how far back you're interested in me going, but this playing
All the way.
drums for me started off. I saw the movie School of Rock with Jack Black, and the performance at the end of that movie. The drummer's name is Freddie. The little kid's name is Freddie. When I saw that movie when I was younger, I just wanted to be like him. So that's what inspired me originally to play drums. And then I grew up in church, so I got to see a lot of church drummers play. I was very into that. And those two things kind of just came together, and church gave me an opportunity to play. I played in the youth band, I played in our small little Baptist church on the weekends. I was very fortunate so we moved churches when I was in high school, and the next church that we attended was a little bigger. So I was able to play not that playing drums in church is about how many people you're playing in front of, but I was able to play in front of more people, which gave me a little bit more comfortability and with better musicians, which helped me grow a lot in that aspect. So I was very fortunate for that. And then drumline in high school, I played snare and then I played tenors, so that helped out a lot. But as far as the whole social media thing, that has been very recent and very interesting and unexpected. Like you said, so I mean, forever have just been posting videos of myself, like playing drums in my parents' bonus room, and then when we moved to New York recently, playing in the church for fun. Um, and then all of a sudden, there was just one video. I was at through my work, I was at a Christmas dinner with TikTok representatives, and all of a sudden, my phone like started to go off like crazy, and there was just one video that did really well and led to me kind of forming this little community and an audience on Instagram primarily, which has been a lot of fun. So, and I mean, yeah, there was nothing like planned about any of that. There was nothing meticulous about it. It just happened literally overnight. And it's been a lot of fun since then. I mean, there's some really great people that I get to interact with.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I was actually going to pull this up while Dad asks his question, but just looking
I'm
through all
supposed to
these.
have questions.
Hey, he brought his Skillet shirt. We know what's going on. Like,
Oh yeah, I know all about Skillet. Going to Winter Jam growing up and watching Skillet.
mm,
Oh yeah.
2011 Winter Jam. Let's go. Oh
Yeah,
man.
this last winter jam wasn't quite as awesome as the rest of them. So
Yeah, I haven't been in a long time, but I imagine that they've changed a lot.
I think Crowder was the headliner, which nothing wrong with Crowder
Okay. Yeah.
at all.
He's
But
got so do you guys remember the Guitar Center drum off? Do you remember when that was like a huge thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's where
So
we got Eric
Crowd
Moore from.
okay,
So
yes, yes. So Crowder's drummer now, Jerome Flood, won the drum off, I think in like 2008. So it's like super cool to see these guys playing with like these huge artists.
I think didn't
yeah, I mean
JP
that's what
Boucher?
Eric Moore did. Yeah, he did that,
Hmm.
and it took off. And obviously, Suicidal Tendencies takes all these. You might be next on Suicidal Tendencies because they took Grayson, what's Krutman or whatever his name
Yeah.
is, the Buddy Rich reincarnated guy.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of that, though, who inspires you? Who do you like, drum wise?
So I fell in love with Matt Halpern from Periphery in high
Hmm.
school. I got super into Periphery. All the drumline guys were into them. So
Of course.
he's been a huge influence for me. And then with him came the other Matt. So there's Matt Halpern, there's Matt Garska, who I would say now is my favorite drummer that I've ever known. Not known personally, but that I've ever seen. And
We know
then Matt Greiner
Yeah.
from August Burns Red, another huge influence. So I definitely my first love with the drums was metal music for sure, and that like very ghost note heavy, just overall heavy playing style. That was my first, and then we've kind of so metal music was very popular for a long time, but we've shifted a little bit now into the whole gospel chops thing is very, very popular right now.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of great guys there too, like Devin Taylor, who just played the Super Bowl, which is amazing. He's Justin Bieber's guy regularly, I think, but I love him. I love Aaron Spears. He has always been an enormous inspiration. I discovered Matt Garska and Aaron Spears around the same time.
Mm.
It's a huge inspiration. Of course, like Eric Moore. Like there's so many great guys out there to try to be like. Yeah, there's no shortage for sure.
And I didn't realize this at the Super Bowl. There, I saw that there was a drum set that was
Hmm.
empty, and they said that was in honor of Aaron Spears because I knew he
Yeah,
played with Usher for a long time. So I thought
yeah.
that was really cool. I
Yeah,
didn't realize that, but
I was wondering if I figured Usher's a very nice guy, so I figured surely he would do some sort of tribute. And then
mhm.
they showed like from behind the pit where the band was, and one of our friends was like, "Why are there so many drums?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then, like you said later, I saw that there was a kit that was just empty the whole time with it was like a Ludwig setup, and I was like, "That's really
Mhm.
nice that they did that to honor him."
Yeah, that
I like
yeah,
that everybody was
that
like,
was
"Why are there so many drums?"
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah. Well,
that's
and
because
you talk
every
about
drummer there's a
like,
lot of drummers in town that day. So
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You mentioned a lot of those guys, and it's funny, like the metal aspect for me was the same way. It
Hmm.
was, Jordan Mancino on those first, As I Lay Dying, 94 hours and everything they did. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then August Burns Red, Matt Greiner.
Yeah.
And you listen to some of the stuff that was on, messengers and everything else. And I've had the
Hmm.
pleasure of meeting Matt, I think 3 times now, 2 times now.
Oh
And they're
wow,
just the
nice.
nicest dudes in the world. Like they really like sit there and talk to you and are excited about it. And I think that's the different element of metal that people overestimate is that the metal guys are much more interactive with you. They're much more personable with you. And you could see that. I mean, you did the whitewash video the other day, and Matt's commenting on your stuff. Like, what was that like? See him just popping in
So
there and be like,
I mean, this is just one thing about social media that just makes everything really cool is that, like I said, you get to interact with people. So I can't remember what I don't remember if I posted something or if it was just random. So he DM'd me uh, several months back in 2023. It wasn't even this year. Just out of the cold blue, just DM'd me, not like a response to anything, and was just like, "Hey man, someone sent me one of your videos. I think you're great. Keep up the good work." And I was like,
what?
first of all, I love you. Like, how do I not sound like a little like child right now? I was just like, thanks so much. And he like sent me his phone number and was like, if you need anything, just like text me. So I mean, you're right about just him being a great guy. And I really appreciate his encouragement. And I mean, he's great. Yeah.
Dude, that's even cooler. Like just thinking about that and how like again, somebody sent me your video. Keep up the good work. Here's my number if you need.
Yeah.
Never happens in any other element, other aspect. Like you said, Usher isn't gonna message you and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like that's good. That's good. I'm only gonna
Right.
use Usher because obviously, but
Because recent. Yeah. Right.
it's pretty recent. Well, what are your aspirations? Where do you want to do anything full time with music, or is it just a good hobby at this point?
So I had when I graduated high school, I had the dream of moving to Nashville and being a full-time musician. So that was in like 2015. I like told my parents in December. I came home from like my first my first semester, I think, of college, and told my parents, like, "Hey, I'm moving to Nashville on the first of next year," and they were like, "Great, we'll help you move," which I'm very thankful for. And then, yeah, at the very beginning of 2016, I just loaded all my stuff up in their car, and they drove me and helped me find a place to stay. And I was there for a couple years, playing the bars on Broadway, trying to meet people, and just networking as much as I could. And after a period of time, I decided that, and I know that this is for some people, so I'm not like throwing shade here at all, but I decided that that wasn't for me. That like trying really hard to like find gigs and find places to play, pushing super hard to make that life be sustainable, I just discovered was not for me. So I came home, and we talked a little bit about my job earlier, but I just work 9 to 5, like a regular job. Um, and then I play for fun. I'm only able to play Monday nights for a couple hours, Fridays during the day for a couple hours, and then Saturdays during the day for a couple hours. And then I play at church on Sunday mornings, but that doesn't count towards my like becoming a
Playing.
better drummer, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Um, so it's really just a hobby. I had the wonderful guys from the Spill Canvas. I don't know if people know of them. A few of my
I
friends did know of
well
them.
aware the spill canvas.
Okay, they
I graduated in
contacted me.
2006, so I was in that
Yeah,
like whole like
yeah,
like
yeah. They had, I mean, just an amazing run in the early 2000s. But I think so. They're like about to go out on their 20th
mhm.
anniversary tour, and they had reached out and asked if I could come out with them. And that was when I had to like actually make a decision. Like, do I want to try this now? Am I like at a place where I want to try to do the like
Mhm.
touring drummer thing, or am I just going to pass up and say, I can't do it? And I ended up going into the studio and doing some stuff with them for a few upcoming singles, which was so much fun. Huge shout out to them. They're great guys. I loved hanging out with them. Um, but unfortunately, I told them that I wasn't going to go out on the road. So they are looking for someone. So I mean, if you guys through your connections know of any great drummers that are looking for opportunity to play, send them their way because they are looking for their
I
upcoming
will
I
have
think
tours.
you
20
have more connections
resumes
than
now.
us.
So
Yeah, so email your
No,
resumes to the DrumQuig podcast. We'll send them out for you.
send your resumes to us. We'll connect you with bands.
that's right.
Oh man, that would be amazing. So that's really cool that you bring something like that up because I feel like that's music in its entirety. That's what ends up happening is that like, do I pursue this dream or do I be responsible and you know like it
Yeah.
sounds so terrible, but that's any hobby. That's
Hmm.
any, dream. People want to be an astronaut, people want to be, a doctor. Like those are different paths. They're completely different paths. There's schooling involved. There's some sort of stability there.
Yeah.
Whereas anything in the arts, music or photography or anything else, it's like, do I make that jump or do I work my 9 to 5 so that I can still enjoy
Yeah.
doing that? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of where you're at now, where you're like, I'm still getting to enjoy this instead of it being, after everything you went through working in Nashville, working through all the bars, like, seems like you kind of came to that conclusion, but I think in the best way you could have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad. I will forever be. And my dad literally was telling me this before I ever left for Nashville, because I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And he was like, if you don't, you will regret it for the rest of your life. So I am forever grateful that I did do that and I like tried it. And I'm glad that I was able to come to the conclusion on my own that it's not for me. Um, and there are so many people that are so good, and it is that life is for a lot of people. And huge shout out to them because it's a lot harder than people realize, and it's a lot less stable than people realize. But yeah, for me, I think I'm past it. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate to say that out loud, but I think that I definitely am past it.
I mean, I had a similar path. I had that same realization. I was about 19. I was traveling with a Southern gospel band around Kentucky on an old beat up bus. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, and I wasn't making anything. I was still living with my parents. And
Yeah.
it's just like, do I want to chase this? And it's like, it's not fun anymore.
Right. It becomes
And
not fun.
so, yeah, it becomes not fun when you have to push every, you have to go to the bar owner, can you get our band in there?
Yeah.
I don't have that. I just don't have that drive.
Yeah. Some people do though, and some
Oh,
people
yeah.
are just built for that and they're good at it. And yeah, I mean, they're like, it's funny that you say that. I mean, there were times in Nashville where we like rented this 15-passenger van for the band that I was playing in, and we would like sleep in the van in Walmart parking lots because like that night, the show that we played, we didn't make enough money to get a hotel room or anything. So,
Right.
and I mean, I just remember waking up because Walmart's like 24 hours. We were in Alabama. We had just played a frat show at the University of Alabama. And I woke up at like 4 in the morning. I was freezing. So I walked in to Walmart and realized I had forgotten my wallet in the van, which of course we were like parked all the way at the back of the parking lot. Forgot my wallet.
Of
I had like
course.
walked in, found a blanket. I was like, I'm gonna buy this blanket, then I'm gonna go back to sleep on the floor of this van. And I got to the checkout and I was like, do you guys have Apple Pay or anything? I left my wallet in the van. And they were like, no, you're gonna have to go get it. And I was like, that's it. I'm moving back home. I can't do this anymore.
That was
That
it.
was like the moment that I just like gave up. I was like, I'm not walking back to the car to get my wallet for this blanket. I'm going home. So yeah, that was it for me.
Well, and it's funny, like the Drumeo guys, we all know the Drumeo guys.
Mhm.
Jared says very openly, he kind of started like you. He played in church. He traveled around with a band and hated it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they obviously birthed something that's took over the
Well,
world
I mean,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They've
But
created
most people don't
empire.
get that lucky with the the creative side. But
Yeah.
he didn't like touring either. So
Mhm.
And
I
you hear that
also
from a lot. A lot of people don't like touring. Like they're like, that's the one part I don't like. They're like, I love playing the shows, not the touring part. Like
yeah,
not everything
mhm.
in between.
and I think that's just and then we can move on. So I know we've been talking about this for a long time. I think the reason that I'm enjoying this like little audience that I've just not created, the audience of people who have like come to my page, whatever, however you want. It
They've come to
feels
your
so weird
TikTok.
talking about social media. Yeah, it's like people who like haven't played for 10 or 15 years and they just like want to pick it back up for fun. And I think it's really easy to think that because you're not able to produce, movie quality drum covers, like, which, again, no shade, like if Luke Holland can produce a beautifully shot, beautifully mixed like drum cover, then he should absolutely do that. But not everyone has the means to do that. And it's like, don't be discouraged just because you're not at the level that you want to be or you don't have the resources to make these videos. Like, just have fun with this. Like, we're all just out here trying to have fun. So just because you're not touring with this person or you're not able to do this or you don't have this many followers or whatever it may be, like, still enjoy your instrument, because that's like the main point of all of this is just to have fun.
I think that's getting lost in a lot of the noise on the internet too, is the have fun part.
Yeah.
So you actually inspired me to want to pick the sticks back up. I do have a practice pad
Yeah.
next to me over here. So
Great.
but one little lick, you show one little lick and it's like, well, I can do that while I'm sitting here with the pad,
That's funny. Yeah.
Wait,
And that's
yes,
how
it's
I learned.
within arm's reach.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put like while I'm working or whatever, I'll have old drumline videos from the Blue Devils and the Blue Coats or whatever just playing in the background. If I hear something cool, yeah, I'll pick
Mhm.
up a pad and just noodle around for a few minutes, and it's fun, and that's the point. Yeah,
Yeah. Get it out of your head onto the drums.
Yeah.
right.
I thought it was funny you brought up the Luke Holland video because that was the one I found that like shot you up to almost 200,000 views. And the comment section, people were brutal. And I'm like,
I
he's not dissing the man at all.
no, to be completely honest, low key kind of was throwing shade, and I
You
am
heard it here
thankful.
first.
Yeah.
I am thankful that that video was like popular or whatever, but that was, and I realized it because like he responded to me in the comments and
Yeah,
said
he
like,
said, yeah, like when I was 19.
right. And I threw shade back at him, and that was very just dumb. That was stupid of me. I regret doing that. He is phenomenal. He is a very nice
He's
guy. So I'm thankful that that video got popular, and I'm thankful that people are able to enjoy it without thinking that there was shade thrown. But I definitely was throwing shade, and I regret that a lot.
I always wondered. Now I know.
Yeah, no, I that
yeah,
was
he
dumb.
was one of the first social media guys too that was really out there. So
Yeah, and that's led to an extremely successful career from him. I mean,
mhm.
playing with Falling in Reverse now, that's like so cool. I'm super jealous, truly.
Oh,
It's
falling in reverse. Now I'm just thinking of Escape the Fate. I'm thinking of the guillotine. And just
Uh-huh.
all that, like every angsty like song just like hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Oh man. We wanted to talk about like you and Dad obviously have something in common in playing in churches. So I wanted
Mhm.
to kind of have the two of you talk about the differences in playing in a church now versus what it was like for you, Dad. So kind of talk about your experiences and how it's a lot easier for Dylan now, I'm sure, to play.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's easier or not because I mean I played in started playing in my first instrument's piano and then I played trumpet. So
Okay.
I can read sheet music. I can read like stick control. I can get through
Mhm.
that, but I can't sight read or anything like that. But back then it was just there was Pentecostal church. One song would just go into the other, go into the other,
Yeah.
which would be a click track sequence nightmare now.
Mhm. Yes,
We
it
didn't.
would.
We had monitors. We had monitors on the floor. People looked at each other for cues.
Yep.
And I know now, you guys have got everything where it's got to be, because it's for video. A lot of times you've got multiple campuses and everything has to be lined up.
Yeah.
Um, it's tell us about how it is now with the click tracks and
Yeah.
everything like that.
So the larger church that I played at, in North Carolina, which is where I'm from, was called the Summit Church. And they are a very large church, like you said, with multiple campuses. They don't quite
Hmm.
do like Elevation, I think, does their band like syncs with the band at another campus, which is technology beyond my understanding. We didn't do anything like that, but it was because the message was live streamed from campus to campus. It was important that we all kind of generally stayed within the same, like there's 21 minutes of music on the front, like that kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
but they do you. I mean, there's click and there's loop, and if we get off the click, it's like a problem, like that kind of thing. So there is like the importance of staying with the click, and I'm, like, very thankful that I learned so Drumline taught me how to play with the metronome. Of course, you have to, like, be, like, right on it to be together. So I'm thankful for
Right.
that, and then playing to a click in church helped me musically grow, I guess. But I will say the church that I play at now, um, so that larger church in North Carolina sent a team to Brooklyn, New York, which is where we live now. And planted a church of much much less people. So I mean, I think we have anywhere from like 100 to 150 people on the weekend. So it's a much smaller church than Summit in North Carolina. We still use a metronome and we still use like the tracks, but there's a lot more space for. I mean, I don't know how much like you want me to get into this. There's a lot more space for, like, we would say, for the spirit to move. So,
Hmm.
if, like, moments want to extend, if moments if people are responding well and we want to do a few more choruses at the end of a song, there's a lot more, like, room for that here. It doesn't have to be quite as structured. I think when you play in churches that are super structured, you lose a little bit of the ability, for people to respond in, like, a meaningful way. So I'm, like, really glad that all of the production of a large church is a lot of fun, playing on really expensive instruments with really expensive electronics and lights and LED walls is super fun. But when you strip that all away and you're left with just you and your congregation singing and playing together, that's a lot more meaningful. So I'm like very thankful that we've come to a smaller church and we're able to like have those moments for sure.
Well, where are you from in North Carolina?
The Raleigh area.
I figured that's where the summit was because my wife's from Charlotte.
Oh, cool.
Our
Yeah,
daughter went to NC State.
nice. Both my parents went to state. Yep.
And
Shout out to my parents. Yeah.
and we went to Elevation when we lived there, so
Okay.
I'm familiar with their production. Yeah, I could never
Yeah.
play. Their drummers are phenomenal.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They
Yeah.
got so Vincent, shout out to him. He's another huge inspiration in the CCM world. This new guy that they've got, Otis, that plays with Elevation Rhythm is unbelievable. It's been a lot of
Mhm.
cool to follow him. And then of course, I think his name's Dominic that plays. He does a lot of like second percussion stuff. Plays on a
Yeah.
couple of their songs. I mean, also huge shout out to him. That was so I did a few semesters. I did never finish college, but I did a few semesters at UNC Charlotte. So I lived in Charlotte for a long time. And my bachelor, when I was getting married, my bachelor party was in Charlotte. And the one thing I wanted to do, I was like, we're going to go over the weekend and we're going to go to Elevation on Sunday morning. We're going to attend Elevation Church. And it was great.
Did you go to the main campus?
Yeah, we did. We got
We
there
call
early
it
and
the
we got our
mother.
seats.
We called it the mothership. So
Yep. It seems that way. Yeah.
I've never actually been to the mothership. We went to satellite campus in Huntersville. So,
Okay.
but
Well, now
that's
it's
pretty
time
cool.
for the question of the episode. This is Dad's question that he's come up with.
Okay.
And if you want to ask it or you want me to ask,
Dad doesn't know
I'm
what
putting
the
you on the
question
spot
is.
if there was any song you could have played drums on, whether you can actually play the song or not, what's the song and why?
Okay.
This is exactly the look I want when we ask this question. Of like,
I'm
you
thinking
couldn't
very
have told me
hard.
this before.
I think, okay, like I said, Matt Garska, huge inspiration for me. He did like a video series for their most recent record with Meinl, and I think the song is called Red Miso.
Oh my
That
gosh, it's so good.
okay, so I must be talking about the right one because
Yeah.
in each of those videos they did like there's no samples, there's no edits, like none of that. So the reason that I would like to be able to play that song or any of the songs from that video series is because I would like to get to a place where I technically am able to execute notes so perfectly spaced in a song that they don't have to be quantized in the recording is my answer. Because, you can record a song and they snap everything to the grid and it sounds beautiful. And
Right.
if Matt ever watches this and they did quantize those videos, then it is what it is. But I believe that they probably didn't. I believe that he actually plays that well. So that is the reason that I would like to be able to play that
We're going to
song.
believe that they're organic. So we're
Yeah, I believe it.
I got goosebumps just because. So when Dream Theater came through last year, they
Mhm.
played with Devin Townsend and Animals as leaders.
Yep.
And just sitting there watching Matt play.
Yeah.
And he's hovering like this high off the throne. And you're like, what's he do? Oh, he's just transcending to a whole new level of drumming. It's really what's
It's
going
gonna
on.
float away.
Like right in front of our eyes. I think Red Miso has that ridiculous bass line too. That's
Yeah,
just
that's I think
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
I feel like if I play it, somebody's gonna flag us and be like, "You can't play that song."
Yeah, you'll
So-
probably get copyright striked or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. All of a sudden the video goes silent. So
yeah.
that's
Well,
typically
Matt,
what
Matt, if you're
happens with that
listening,
kind of stuff.
we'd like to tell people about your band. Like,
Yes. If you want to come on, hit us up.
and it's funny that you brought out because we talked about like Matt Griner made my top 5 lists.
Mhm.
The people who inspired me because it was like obviously Portnoy and Pert, but Carter Beauford, Stuart Copeland. I think what's funny is I figured this out. We all did our top 5 list on the first episode, We all gave 6 people. Every single one of us gave 6 people for like
There's
1,
too
2,
many.
3.
And I thought about 5 that I left off after the episode.
Yeah.
So
Well, and you feel
Yeah,
because you
weird
take
about
a
it.
little bit here, a little bit there, you know.
Right.
Each genre gives you a different outlook. Like obviously Lars was a big influence to me growing
Yeah.
up and loving Metallica. And then he did Saint Anger and everybody got mad at him, myself included. But some of those videos now where it's like people put like a beer keg there instead of the snare.
Yep, that was so fun. I know exactly the video
I
you're
was
talking
like,
about. It was so funny.
that was genius.
Yep.
But then,
Yeah.
like you said, you know, Matt Greiner and Jordan Mancino, As I Lay Dying, August Burns Red, you know, Yogi Watts. We don't talk about Yogi enough from Demon Hunter. Like that's a big man playing, and that's an inspiration too because, you know, we're not small guys. And you see all these, you know, you don't see big guitar players very often. You don't see big,
Right. I mean, yeah.
and for us to be able to do, you know, what we go out there and do, it is inspirational. It's showing like you don't have to be some really tiny in shape guy to, you know, pull all this off. And that's no disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying like it's cool.
Even
Yeah,
though you
I know
meet a lot
exactly
of
what you
your
mean.
heroes and they're all about 5'6" and skinny. So
Yeah, it does seem like that's true, yeah.
Well, now I just want to ask, like, who's on your bucket list to meet? Like drummer
Just in
wise.
general or like drummers?
I mean, you could do both.
Let's see. I met Matt Halpern a couple times. So not him. I mean, I would like to meet him. I would like to see him again. But I have chatted with Matt Greiner, so I guess that counts as meeting. I feel like I would really like to meet Steve Jordan. I'm not sure. Do
Yeah.
you know? Okay, you guys know Steve Jordan. Okay,
So I got to see
don't-
him. So I'm
okay.
Stones drummer,
yeah.
I don't.
Original
I don't
Blues
know.
Brothers drummer.
John Mayer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
he's
know
got
him
a-
with the John Mayer trio. That's like, and then of course just his solo stuff. I would love to meet him. I would love to just hear him play in person. I would also love to meet Nate Smith. I think any of the guys who are able to sit super deep in the pocket and not, which no shade, but not play anything like super crazy, but just make you like want to move. I think I would like to meet them and hear them play in person and just hear how they think about the music that they're playing from like a musicality perspective. I think is what I would enjoy hearing. So I would say those two.
See, I like those answers. So I got to see. So I was supposed to see the Stones while Charlie was still alive, and then COVID happened and they rescheduled everything. And when I saw they picked Steve, I was like, "Wait, same Steve Jordan as the Blues? But like, is that who we're talking about here?" And everyone else is like, "Who?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. Like, this is a monumental thing."
If you're a drummer, you know who Steve Jordan is.
Yeah, for sure.
But for him to be able to pull off the Charlie Watts, and I know Dad, you always talk about it. Charlie always did that weird thing with his arm, like that little like someone was just like hitting it every time, and you said if you didn't do that, the timing would be off every
He
single
lifted
time.
he lifted his hand off of the hat so the snare hit would be louder. And when you play Stones music, you have to do that or it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Because you teach yourself to not lift. And then when you play that stuff, you have to lift on that note. And
they found their thing
interesting
and
to
it
try to play that.
suits the music that they're playing, and it's the sound. Like you said, I mean, he created that sound and it works for that band. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You mentioned Nate Smith because I got lucky enough to see him when he was just starting out. I went to see Depeche Mode, and they had this band opening up called Poe, P-O. Never heard of them, and they had the drummer was phenomenal, and we're all like the next day, did you see that band? Who is that guy? It was Nate Smith.
Oh wow, yeah.
He was just a monster with that band.
Yeah.
It's amazing where these drummers end up, and it's, you know, or how you discover them. And I'll just think of, I'm gonna say his name wrong, but I'm sorry. Is it Charlie Engren? He plays with Five Finger Death Pin.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But he played with Scale the Summit, who I had seen open for Dream Theater, but it wasn't him on drums. And I felt so awkward when I was like, dude, you guys were amazing. He's like, that wasn't me. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it wasn't that good then.
Oops.
Oh man. But then you see him come up and it's like, we all see them come up and we're just excited for him. And to be
Right.
honest, now Red Miso's just stuck in my head, just playing in the
Great.
background. So
I'm gonna
Good.
have to go
I'm
listen
glad.
to it now because I don't know that song. So
oh, you'll know it. You'll know it.
I'm
You'll
still
listen to it.
catching up on the newer metal. So I'm not a metalhead by trade. So
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say Animals as Leaders is really metal because number one, there's
I
no
wouldn't
vocal.
call it no.
My favorite part about it. It's progressive metal, but it's
Mhm.
not.
Well,
It's
I like progressive metal because I like metal that has keyboards in it.
Yeah.
Which Dream Theater fits the bill on that one. So
Oh, yeah, for
that's
sure.
because I was always a melodic drummer. I played along with the keyboards instead of the rhythmic playing with the bass,
hmm
which that's something I picked up playing in church too. I think you
Yeah.
just tend to listen to the organist or the keyboard.
Right. Because that's the main sound that you're getting. Yeah.
Mm, Right. And that way you stay out of the vocals too, usually. Not that I didn't try to put some Neil Peart runs around there.
Right. You have to put some Neil Peart runs in the church
Yes,
music. You have to.
till they tell you
And
to
so
stop.
I'm gonna share this, and you didn't get kicked off, so hopefully I won't get kicked off for this. But you talked about playing with the metronome and playing on time. And I think it wasn't the first video I'd seen of yours, but it was the first one that I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And it was this one.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, all right, the timing, okay.
Uh-huh.
And when you changed it, my brain exploded.
Yeah, and I have to say with this one, so yeah, I mean, that was a lot of fun to make, but I was not the first to do that. I stole that from so many other people. There was like a whole internet challenge probably
Hmm
2 or 3 years ago of people taking like the timing and the feel of that song and just like spinning it. Um, the woman who inspired me the most, I think her name is Madden. Madden Class, I think is her Instagram handle. She plays with Boy Genius, who just won a Grammy, so huge shout out to them and to her. Um, I don't know if you'll be able to find it because it was like 2 or 3 years ago, posted a video of that song, but like taking the time and spinning it a little bit. And it was just so cool to hear because Matt Garska talks about metric modulation and all that kind of stuff. It was so cool to take such a straight played song and be able to like spin the time of it. So yeah, a lot of people have done that in a lot of very cool ways, but that was a fun video to make for sure.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
easiest way too to start metric modulation is because you know how that song's supposed to sound in your
Right.
head. So you kind of know where you're supposed to come back.
Yeah.
But
There are
and that
so many
shuffle
videos.
feel is not easy to get.
Mhm.
No, and well, on that note, I think that's a good time to wrap it up just because that
Yep.
was one of the videos that just, you know, like I said, all day we send each other stuff. We're like, check out this drummer, check out this drummer. And then it
Yeah.
was like with Grayson, it was like, this guy's kind of crazy. And then it was like a few months later, we're like, now he's playing in Suicide. Okay.
Now
Yeah.
he's doing
Now he's
Slipknot
Josh and
covers.
Saunders.
I don't know what's
Yep.
going on. Yeah.
Yep.
And Ellis Daprio, the same thing. And I'm just going to say his name that way because I'm tired of watching other people like elongate his name. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to go with this. But his Blinding Lights cover,
Uh-huh.
one of the greatest things that he's ever made, ever.
Yeah.
Just because
Guys are
it's
all great.
interesting. But it's getting to be too much. We were talking about that earlier. Like, there's too many videos of people watching other videos.
Well,
And I don't know how I feel about that anymore.
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not going to talk about those people, but we all know who they are.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who's not watching and listening, because I will make this the audio version, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can catch your stuff, all your platforms and your names and everything else, so that we
Yeah.
get you closer to that. What are we getting closer to the 40,000 now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're getting there. I got to start posting it. It's been a few weeks since I posted anything. Life gets busy, man. But yeah, the only thing I want to shout out is I guess just my Instagram, which is just at Dekker on drums. I would like to be more active on YouTube, but I don't post much over there, and then I don't do TikTok or anything. So yeah, just follow me on Instagram if you want to. Come hang out, send me a message, whatever, and we'll chat.
Sweet. Well,
So
that's how
far,
everything goes. Go ahead.
all of our guests are non-TikTokers, so
Yeah.
nothing against TikTok. Just none of us are.
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
nothing again. It's just a lot to keep up with.
It's just
Yeah,
too
it's
many.
enough
I'm
to
like,
keep up with this.
oh, and
Yeah, it's enough
that's
to keep up with one. So
yeah, exactly. And that's doing all this. So we try to have the shows out by Friday, and really just we're having a good time with this. So we'd love to have you back on once we get things rolling again. It
Sure.
was a blast to have you.
Yeah.
You know, anybody out there, we're still working on sponsors. There's a nice cool flag up here. Those DrumQuig flags that I have to bring closer because nobody can see it. But
Right.
it's the logo behind you. But
yeah,
really, guys,
that's my sports memorabilia back there. So
I mean, mine's back there too. I mean, the Lightning are playing the Bruins right now, so it's
Oh,
an
nice.
all-out war. So yeah, it's
yeah.
bad. Anyway, on behalf of myself, Matt,
and Troy.
this was the DrumQuig podcast with Dylan Dekker. Instagram is at Dekker on drums. If you guys need to spell it, it'll be in the description. We'll try to set everything up. But Dylan, thank you so much for joining us, dude. It was a lot of fun and not bad for your second interview.
Yeah. Number 2. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun
absolutely.
to hang out.
All right.
You're welcome, Dylan. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah, you guys too.
All right.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the DrumQuig podcast. Thank you so much.